Quick tip for your slick vids. Software stabilization and super steady modes can look incredible. In the right conditions, it looks like your phone is on an expensive, professional Steadicam rig, but there's a reason why we see most of these amazing tests done in bright daylight. Software stabilization has a fatal flaw. It gets weird in lower light conditions. The main issue is letting the phone make all the decisions in full auto for the exposure. In daylight, the phone is likely using a ridiculously fast shutter speed to control the brightness. Each frame of video is essentially a single photo with a shutter up to 1/4000th of a second. At that speed, every frame is super crisp. So when software on the phone crops and smooths out your video, it's working with excellent information to line up those frames and control for your handshake. When you move indoors though, the phone needs to soak up more light, and full auto modes always try to produce a brighter image than they really need to. To achieve that, phones will almost always default to the longest shutter they can. Now, super steady modes shoot 1080p at 30 frames per second. 1/30th of a second sounds fast, but it's really easy to blur that frame while moving, which is kind of the whole point of a super steady mode. When the phone tries to stitch together and crop blurry frames, that's why software stabilized video can look hazy or shifty in those darker conditions. So how can we fix this? We use our manual mode. Software stabilization does not like changes in exposure, changes in the shutter speed, and we want to lock that exposure in place. Looking like a dork running through the Newegg offices, here's a steady mode shooting 1080p at 30 frames per second. Now, using an LG V50 shooting 4K at 60 frames per second, and again, running through the Newegg offices, I locked the exposure at 1/120th of a second, and I've bumped up the ISO to compensate. On a phone sensor, the image will get grainier using a higher ISO, but this is what the final output looks like. We can still use software stabilization. We can keep autofocus full auto. We're shooting twice the frame rate and 4 times the resolution, and the video is smoother than using just hardware stabilization by itself. When I'm talking about phone cameras, I like showing off phones like this V50 because this kind of camera control is baked into the stock LG camera app right out of the box. But these tips should also help when using a third-party camera app which gives you manual video controls. Our phones are capable of producing incredible content, but often we can make better decisions than the full auto mode. We're still smarter than the machines. For now. Thanks so much for watching, for sharing these videos. Sharing is kind of the big deal, and subscribing to this channel. If you'd like to see more tips and tricks like these, drop some comments down below. Maybe future topics you'd like to see. And if you'd like to help support the production of these tutorials, again, links down below in the description of this video, or you could consider joining the list of names scrolling by on your screen. A growing community of fun, like-minded tech pals, and a huge resource for me in producing future content. Patrons also get access to my camera and audio deep dive analysis and reviews if you really want to see what your phone camera is capable of. But most of all, they're good people. I hope you'll check them out. Now, you know where you can find me around the rest of the internet at SomeGadgetGuy on the Twitters and the Twitch, and the Facebooks and the Instagrams, and I will catch you all on the next video.